What does Jaylen Waddle need to do in 2026 for the Broncos to win the trade with the Dolphins? We're digging into that today. And then the long-term implications as well. Plus, we've got a fun draft for the end of the show that could go in a lot of different directions. So stay tuned. We're going to get started in about 30 seconds. The DNVR Broncos Podcast from the Toyota studio.
Xfinity studio.
I even turned around and read the sign and still didn't say it. We are in the Xfinity studio, and that's what always gets me is the graphic pops up. I can just read it straight off of there. The Xfinity studio, the place to be. March Madness. What's it like for you having to be here on the show knowing that there's all this going on?
It's really hard.
It
reminds me back when I was in 7th grade, and I feel like it's the beginning of like ear pods as a thing.
Oh, and like in the sleeve.
And I would wear a hoodie, put an ear pod in the sleeve because you couldn't stream the games on your phone,
right?
But you could get audio. Right. I don't remember how. I think there was an app where you could have like. No, I didn't even have apps. I don't know. Maybe I would bring a Walkman. I would bring a Walkman, like a handheld radio. That's 100% what I would do. And I'd put that in my backpack, put my backpack down here, then line the wire up my sleeve and just sit like this.
Yep.
And listen to March Madness in class.
Those are the days. Luckily, I had a couple of teachers. The thing you realize, I think it was like mid-high school, I realized that like a lot of the teachers just don't really care about high school either. And so like you show up to class and it's like, yeah, on the background, we're just going to have like the 4 games on.
That's
because
legit.
Like this is chemistry. Like who needs chemistry long? The crazy one was in my calculus class where I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't the class where I learned the most. Surprisingly did well on the test at the end though, which like shocked everybody. But he would turn on the wrestling because I'm not sure if they still do the like March Madness wrestling at like about the same time.
Is it March Madness?
I think it might actually be that.
Good.
I haven't watched it since I was in high school.
Maybe they call it Matt Madness.
Matt Madness.
But March Madness would be better if it's in March.
Right. But yeah, I mean, and so that was my high school experience, is especially like as a senior. That's when all of the teachers are just like, yeah, you got 2 months left. You've learned all you have to learn. Yeah. Let's just watch some basketball.
That's really nice. I used to just beg my mom to not make me go to school. One more story and then we can move on. When the Rockies were in not the World Series, the playoffs before the World Series. So 2007, they played the first game of the playoffs at like 1 p.m. on a weekday, which should be a crime. And I asked my mom, please, can you let me skip school? And she's like, no. So then I went to school, went to first period, went to the nurse, was like, I have a migraine. And then like, okay, call your mom to come pick you up.
Yeah.
She came. She's like, you're such a shit.
I knew yesterday when Zach said, like, do you have the basketball games on the computer? I was like, okay.
Wow.
That's because it's America and we watch basketball while we work for 2 days a year in America.
Yeah.
And it's the best. But we also have a lot to talk about with the Broncos. I would imagine this is kind of the end of like Jaylen Waddle week. You get Jaylen Waddle week. It's all just like Jaylen Waddle for like a full week. And next week we probably come back to earth and talk about some other things.
Tyson Anderson week.
Could be. I mean, who's to say? He'd probably have to like, I don't know what he'd have to do. I guess if he got like arrested
wouldn't
or something.
Be good.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything good that he could do over the weekend.
For us to talk about for a week.
For a whole week. Yeah. So hopefully it's not Tyson Anderson week. But yeah, kind of our last big Jaylen Waddle show. And I think talking about how you win the trade, kind of boil everything we've talked about from this past few days down into like, what does he need to do now? Like, what do you actually need to get out of him for this to be a success? Let's start there. Like, is it as simple as you just put a number on it? And you can say like, wow, this was a good deal.
I think it has more to do with the offense overall.
Yeah, I had that thought as well.
What was our points per game last year?
I can check.
I think that in general, it has less to do with Jaylen Waddle getting 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns, which if he does that, yeah, we probably won the trade.
Right. Right.
And you could simplify it that, but to me, it's not that simple. It has a lot more to do with how did Jaylen Waddle change the offense? How did Jaylen Waddle help Bo Nix evolve to the next level of what he's trying to be as a quarterback? How did Jaylen Waddle help Davis Webb in his first year as a play caller? And did it make Evan Ingram better? And did it make Courtland Sutton better? And did it make Troy and Marvin better because of the attention that has to be paid to him by a defense? And in general, the best way for me to look at that is like yards per game and or points per game, because I don't think it's necessarily his fault they don't punch it in the end zone. So maybe it is yards per game. But to me, it's more you know it when you see it, which isn't as good of podcasting. But it's like if we go out there and the offense is like consistently moving the ball and there's a lot more open spaces, that means it worked.
Right. And a lot of people have been on the show this week. And then I also did do the draft pod, so I don't know what I've talked about with who. But I think at one point, I think it might have been like Dre saying, like the Tyreek Hill trade didn't really work out because look at how bad things went for the Dolphins. Like he also had back-to-back 1,700-yard seasons. Yeah. Which is awesome. But then now what did that get you to? And so sometimes you can just boil it down to like, I mean, if the Broncos go win a Super Bowl, it's a good trade.
Well, yes.
If they don't win a Super Bowl, you're going to be like, well, I wonder if there was something else they could have done.
Which is why I always defend the draft pick of Shane Ray.
Yeah. Or the hiring of Josh McDaniels. Yeah. Tore everything down.
Sure. I don't like that one as much. But
I don't like either.
But it does have its pros.
Yeah, it does.
It resulted in Demaryius Thomas being a Bronco.
We have side note, there's like an all-city home run league. So essentially like we just started the draft and there's like 10 guys. Whoever has the most home runs from those guys over the course of the years wins. Fun. Yes. I'm on the clock right now. Oh, and so I'm getting all the messages like, make your pick. And it's like, don't you really like,
this is a work league.
People forget that it's like a work day. Today's everybody's just watching all their basketball and stuff. I have things to do. And if none of you are watching, I'm going to be upset. There we go. Christian, I think he's on Broncos. Somebody had to say it.
Someone check the schedule.
Somebody check the schedule.
Do you update your Google Calendar?
I don't know. No is the answer. We don't need to get into the details of why that really throws me off.
So I'm working on it.
Right.
But it actually works with work people where if I put something there, people don't ask me for something.
Interesting. So if I just say like, hey, it's a Friday, I'm busy 9 to 5.
Well, you could just put work and just big block.
That's kind of what I'm But yeah, it's a weird one with Waddle because I wonder. I wouldn't be surprised, especially after like talking to Baldy yesterday. Like Baldy seems to be of the belief that Jaylen Waddle, just as a pure receiver, certainly isn't like significantly better receiver than Courtland Sutton is. Like, and they're kind of just in like a pretty similar tier of. If you go by like Madden rating, like Courtland's the better receiver by Madden. If you go by like obvious production last year, Courtland is better and there's circumstances and all that. Yeah. And so like, I almost wouldn't be surprised if
they're not comparable.
No, they're not, which makes it really hard. Which Zach and I kind of went through a bunch of those guys yesterday. Go back and listen. It was a good show.
Okay.
But yeah,
I was watching basketball.
Right. Right. So much basketball today, which I love. But yeah, I don't know if it is as simple. Like if you go get 1,500 yards out of him, awesome.
Yeah.
But if you get 900 out of him and Court goes for like 1,300, that works out pretty well. And I just
because Courtland went for like just over 1,000 last year. It's like 1,017 or something.
Yeah.
And the next highest receiver was Troy with 700. So if Courtland goes for 1,300 and the second highest receiver is 900, that's an extra 500 yards right there.
Totally. And that might be the way to look at it. And if I almost want to go with, we talked about that box, like middle of the field, 10 to 20 yards downfield. That's where Bo has struggled. We're 32 out of the 33 quarterbacks last year in efficiency into that box, just right in front of the line of scrimmage, 10 to 20 yards downfield. Only better than Spencer Rattler by passer rating. That's where Jaylen Waddle had the third most catches in the NFL. And so something just kind of has to give there. And it might almost just be, does this fit work? Because I think on paper, a lot of us look at it and say, like, he brings a lot of the things the Broncos are kind of missing. But can Bo throw to the middle of the field? Like, if this is a Bo problem and not the weapons around him problem, then all of a sudden the trade doesn't really work out because you need to be able to, like, then they just aren't aligned in terms of what they do well. They aren't a good fit. The chemistry doesn't match. And so if you want to get into the details, I would say if you're succeeding in that middle of the field now, then it's a success, because that should be what opens everything else up.
That's a great way of putting it as well. And the truth is, Bo Nix has to learn to utilize that area of the field for him to reach his final form.
Right.
And especially in a Sean Payton offense, which you can call it a Davis Webb offense now, but at its heart, it's always going to be a Sean Payton offense. And probably in 2027, it's going to be a Sean Payton offense called by Sean Payton.
Yep.
Like the way that Drew Brees used that area of the field was masterful.
Right.
And I think that the Broncos are almost betting on Bo Nix getting there. Like they're saying, we're going to align this and push this along and try to add a catalyst to help Bo Nix get better in this area of the field by taking Jaylen Waddle and having him use the backside of that area of the field, which creates more space in this area of the field, and he can use either one he wants, but we need him to use it. It goes back to my whole thing about just Bo like tight ends. Like I didn't want to draft Sadiq in the first round because I'm like, I don't know if he likes tight ends. Well, Broncos are saying, like, you're going to learn.
Yeah.
And you're going to like this tight end a lot more now because he's always going to be open right in front of your face.
Yep. And if you can't throw the ball to him, then
we have a problem.
Like, we're going to give you $50 million a year to not be able to throw straight ahead. I do think that it all just kind of opens everything up and you do see success in that part of the field. But it is one of those things that you have to point to and say, you don't really know for sure yet.
And real quick, I just had a conversation with Aqib Talib, which you guys, a little bit. And it was recorded as well. So you guys are going to get a chance to see a little mini no lie zone coming out probably in mere minutes. Don't leave the show. You can watch it after. Right. And one of the things he talked about, which we haven't talked about directly, I don't think, is how it kind of takes away a defense's ability to play single high.
Right.
Because in the past, it's like, okay, we're going to play single high, kind of lean towards Court. And now you can't do that. You probably lean towards Waddle, which gives Court those opportunities. You don't want Court to get those opportunities as a defense. Now you probably have to put two safeties up top, which should help the running game. Right. And it's just like, I think the Broncos have been looking at Jaylen Waddle for months on end. Saying this is the guy we need. Yeah. He's the linchpin, the catalyst that is going to open up this offense. And they've had so much time to think about that and dream about that it's just like, I think they are probably right. Yeah. It just comes down to Bo.
Totally. Yeah, and I'm we'll dig deeper. I've got a lot of thoughts. We'll dig deeper before we get into that. And also a fun draft today. Very fun draft today. We'll see you on the other side. Shout out to our friends over at Shady Rays. It is hot here today. I mean, not hot yet. It was only like 70 maybe driving in, but by the time this show's over, it's going to be in the 80s. I think it said it's going to be like 86 today, and that means it's Shady Rays season. Get over there, buy yourself a couple pairs. Actually, you probably want to get 2 pairs. We'll talk about the deal later. But the best part is if you lose them, like I'm generally good at not losing my sunglasses because I just keep them in the car. But there was one time at training camp, I just left them on top of my car and they disappeared. Probably got ran over in the Broncos parking lot. It sucks. And the fact that they will just give you a new pair of sunglasses if you lose or break yours is a great deal. An even better deal because they're already pretty inexpensive. Good looking, they're polarized, they're durable. That's why they'll give you the replacements. Go over to shadyrays.com, use the code DNVRSR for 40% off. And that deal applies to 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. So go check them out. Also, want to give a shout out to our friends over at Xfinity. Xfinity is awesome. We're here in the Xfinity studio with our internet provided by Xfinity. I'm streaming a couple of different March Madness games right now because that's what we do this time of year. And the Wi-Fi is great. Never any lag, never any issues. And they've got the smart Wi-Fi, which means that they will send the most power to the devices that need the most. So like streaming, not that intense, but if you're a gamer or if you're uploading big files, if you do work like we do or whatever it may be, they can make all of that run smoothly with their intelligent Wi-Fi. And if you sign up, you can get a price guarantee for the next 5 years. So no price changes. And the best part is no annual contracts, no hidden fees. You get the best equipment. So lock in your price, unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply. Back into the DNVR Broncos podcast from the Xfinity studio. Got a lot to talk about. Also, this draft, I teased it a couple times, so I should say it. We're going to be drafting the Broncos by their fantasy points output.
Okay.
Which is going to be interesting. No Bo.
Yes.
So just the skill position players. Get the brain thinking a little bit.
Really quick, did you get the points per game up?
Yeah, 23.5.
23.5 points per game last year, which is kind of funny because I always say if the offense scores over 24, you should win.
1-1 on Super Bowl. Came up just short.
The half point.
Yep. There it is.
Well, if Jaylen Waddle adds a half point per game to the offense, we won.
It is interesting.
I'm just kidding. It probably has to be a little more than that, but
right. But it is interesting to like put it in those terms because that was kind of my thought on like a lot of those tight ends where it's like Dallas Goedert, good player. I would have liked to see him pick him up. Never wound up being available anyway, so it doesn't matter. But he's one of those guys where you say like, okay, he is good. He is an upgrade. Does he wind up winning you an additional game over the course of the season? I'm not sure that he's a needle mover like that. And it's kind of the same thing with like David Njoku, like upgrade over Adam Troutman, even at this point in his career. But is it enough of an upgrade to say like you're winning an extra game? You're now I'm not sure that a lot of those moves that we had kind of talked about move the needle in that way. Whereas with Jaylen Waddle, you can say everything changes. Mm-hmm. Like your entire offense looks different. And you certainly could be winning additional games because you add him. Whereas some of those other guys, it's like if you get Rico Dowdle, I guess that was a different conversation with JK. Like it's just
if he has 400 yards across 2 games, probably win those
2 games. Yeah. Do they play the 2 worst run defenses in the NFL this year? They might.
I hope. I put this out. I mean, Jaylen Waddle. We talked about explosive playmaker. I said it so much. There's not a single free agent who is as an explosive playmaker as Jaylen Waddle is. Not Kenneth Walker, not anybody.
Yeah, just by Madden ratings, he's also just the best receiver. Like some of the names, it's like Alec Pierce goes and gets the biggest contract, and he's like 1 point behind Waddle. Yeah. And then you have like Michael Pittman, who is a much cheaper trade to go get Michael Pittman, another point behind there. You have, I guess, like Mike Evans was out there, but that's like a different category of just like old man, bring him in.
Did he sign somewhere yet?
I believe so.
The 49ers.
That's a pretty crazy one. But yeah, and it's like, I think they have like two $14 million a year options on that contract or something too. So essentially they get to like keep him for as long as he stays good. It's a good deal. And he gets to go play for a good offense, which is cool for him. But he was kind of the only guy who you say like he's in that next year. Like he is
or was
right. Was still last year. I guess got hurt, but it's interesting. I think the difference with Waddle though is that it's not just like I think we got this for 1 year. We got it for 3 years, and getting speed receivers. Do you pay him at 30? That's a conversation for a few years from now. But it should be something that changes your offense for the next, hopefully, half decade.
Just for the sake of conversation, because Alec Pierce is another speed receiver. Mm-hmm. Would you rather have Alec Pierce in the picks?
That is interesting when you factor in the picks.
I personally wouldn't. I don't think that Alec Pierce is as dynamic.
No, he isn't.
Not even really that close to being that as dynamic.
And I agree. I think so. You still get the deep threat thing. You still get the go routes. He does add more in terms of like the jump balls when you get up there.
Costs more.
Costs a little bit more. He was like 28 per year versus 23.
Yeah.
So he does down the field. He is just as productive as Jaylen Waddle. The difference with Waddle is everything close to the line of scrimmage where you get a lot more. And then you get into like, if we're just going numbers for numbers, you'd probably say Pierce's numbers are more appealing at this point. That 1,300 yard season looms for Waddle where you say like there is potentially some more juice there. But the difference being, like we talked about, like defense's second half of last year, just taking Jaylen Waddle away. Like that was their entire game plan. Whereas with that Colts offense, every week, like you have Michael Pittman, 1,000-yard guy, Alec Pierce, 1,000-yard guy, Josh Downs, who is a very, very good slot receiver. I'm not sure that he's ever gotten to 1,000, but he's in that next year. And so when you have those other options, it just opens everything up for everybody. And so I think Waddle is in the next category up to me.
Yeah, I agree.
And for the price, I'm willing to pay the price for it.
And like we're trying to win a Super Bowl, not save money and picks and all this. And I mean, it was going to be hard to find a player at 30 who is going to be a real contributor to your Super Bowl this year. Yep. It's possible, but look at what you got last year. Like you got a player who was very barely a contributor to your AFC Championship run.
Yep. Also, we can circle back to this too. We talked about the speed, where it's like, is there a touchless speed at this point? I'm not sure if you saw the next gen stats post.
No.
So 2022 and 2023, Jaylen had 24 routes where he hit 20 miles per hour.
Okay.
2024 and 2025, only 2. So the data does back up that there is just like a tick less. And again, like he's also a far better route runner, and there's all these other things that are making him, I think, a better receiver now than he was back then. But that little bit of like, I don't even know what you call the difference in juice.
Can Bo Lowry get his legs back to a place
like
where
there's totally a chance. I think it's definitely possible. But it's interesting though, because like we said, there's still plenty of speed. He's still turning the angle. He's still changing. Like he's still running past anybody who lines up within 5 yards of him on the, near the line of scrimmage. So I don't think that it really matters.
Yeah.
But there is that super, super, super freaky speed versus one of the 5 fastest receivers in the NFL.
98 speed versus 97 speed, or 97 speed versus 96 speed.
Right. I think it's still fine. But it was interesting that we both kind of had like a little bit of that question, and somebody finally pulled the stat.
Or maybe they just like the next gen stats speed thing is kind of circumstantial. Like I said, if you get a little bit overthrown and you have to turn on the afterburners.
Yeah. And when we talk about like the polish of the route running, some of that would be like, you're not just sprinting everywhere you go, you're a little bit craftier. Yeah. And so you can go through some of those. But
it's like if you can hit, I don't know what the actual place would be, but like, you know, you're kind of like 75% speed as you get to the top of the break, and then boom, you burst kind of outside the corner when he turns his hips, and you just created 6 yards of separation by bursting for like 3 steps.
Right.
You're not going to hit 20 miles per hour in those 3 steps.
Yeah.
And now you're open and you just got to get under the ball.
It is interesting because there are a couple of those stats that back up though now.
Yeah.
Where it's like I don't know. I'm curious what it looks like.
Maybe it's because he's eating all those Sour Patch Kids.
Could be.
I'm just basing that off of
the one video. The one video. He seemed to really like them too. Like it was interesting because it was the box, right? Not the bag. Pretty sure I could be wrong.
It was the box.
Yeah, the box though. It's like, I don't know. It was an interesting video for a lot of reasons, including the big one.
Learning how professional athletes eat was always an eye-opening thing for me.
Yeah.
Because I thought they all ate really well.
Well, it's just like the big guys just struggle to keep weight on. Or it's like talking to Frank Crum. I think I've said that on the podcast though. Like one day, like he's just on the scale and he's like, 308. Like, that's pretty big. And he's like, I was 320 at the start of the day. It's like, oh my goodness.
I don't think
so you just have to eat and eat and eat and eat and hydrate and hydrate and hydrate.
I don't think Todd would be mad at me for telling this story, but one time I was talking to him in the locker room when he was on the team and I was just a writer, and somehow Cinnabon came up. And I was like, God, I love Cinnabon, but like, it's like a once a year thing for me. He's like, really? Why? I was like, I mean, it's just so bad for you.
Yeah.
And he's like, I eat it like twice a week.
Yeah. I mean, there's just different tiers, especially like the sugar. Like they try to get the sugar in before the workout because you get like the quick carbs or whatever.
Yeah,
like the Broncos even have like the quick carb stand.
Who am I to judge when he's, built like a statue?
Right, exactly. Like, I'm not going to say less Cinnabon to you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So back to Waddle.
Yep.
somebody in the chat pointed out, like, it kind of reminds you of Marvin Mims. And I see that same thing. I think Waddle more developed as a route runner coming out, just a little bit sharper.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of similarities there, including probably in the build. Like, Waddle might just have a little bit longer arms, but not by much. And he might have like a half inch, but not much more than that on Marvin. For Marvin, though, again, we've talked about coming out of the Lincoln Riley offense where it's a lot of just like, you're super fast, run here and run all the way over here, which Jaylen Waddle did a lot of too, but there was a little bit more of like an actual route tree. And at this point, Jaylen has developed the entire route tree, whereas Marvin still getting there. I wonder if for Marvin in particular, getting to spend a lot of time with Jaylen and see how he goes about all those things, like the different releases, how he sets guys up and gets open. I kind of wonder if it does open up his game a bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you could get 2 Jaylen Waddles
I'd
by
be
getting 1 Jaylen Waddle,
yeah,
that would be pretty sweet.
It would.
And Paul in the comments said, trading for Waddle told me Mims is gone next year. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it could happen for sure. There's going to have to be some restructuring to the wide receiver room at some point. It's just he's so valuable as a returner that I think that you keep him around. And he doesn't have the production necessarily to command a lot of money.
Yep.
But he does have the return, like all pro stuff, which is certainly worth something in contract negotiations.
It's just tough to figure out what the value is. He's one of the tough ones to pin down. Zach has said a couple times he thinks the deal gets done, which is based on him hearing something from someone that he thinks the deal gets done before the season. But it's just tough to say, like, what is he actually worth? Like, you have guys like Khalil Shakir is sitting on a $13 million a year deal, more productive than Marvin. But I'd be curious exactly how much more productive. You have other guys like Christian Watson, I guess, had the breakout this year. Josh Palmer at $10 million.
Shakir's got to be way ahead of Marvin.
Yeah,
terms of receiving
719 and 821.
Yeah.
Which is a step ahead than Marvin, who probably peaked around 500, I would guess.
Yeah. 450 maybe.
But then, like, what does 503 in 2024.
Okay.
So you have that different tier there, but then you talk about like opportunities that close some of the gap, like some of it, but not all. You have like Shakir is 26, so a tick older than Marvin in terms of like when they signed the deal. And then you throw in the return ability. And it's just tough to say where he pans out. Like if it's $8 million a year, you're not surprised.
Yeah.
If it's $13 million a year because that's just what receivers cost, it's tough.
If I can put this to a halt, it's kind of like, to me, being in the AFC Championship and being like, you know, if we lose this game, we can get the 30th pick. But if we win, the best we can get is, or we can get 29. But if we win, the best we can get is like, what are we talking about? We don't need to worry about what's happening in the future.
Traded
right now.
it anyway.
Let's worry about it now. I will say, if there's a wide receiver to look out, I would be looking at Courtland.
Yeah. I mean, you save the most money.
But that's not fun, and I don't want to do it.
No, and that's why that's kind of a problem for after the year. But with Marvin in particular, like after this year, I think it's a lot easier to say what he's worth. Like it is kind of like a prove it year in some ways. Even if you still don't expect him to get too many opportunities. So getting the deal done early, you always like that because you save more. The cap hasn't increased as much. But I just don't know what that would be. And so I don't know how that plays out. But having him, if it makes it a lot easier also to justify like, okay, 23 per year for Waddle, 23 per year for Court. You can fit those together certainly, but you can fit them together even more easily if you're also like, hey, at worst for the next few years as we go through this, we've got Marvin as our wide receiver 3 at $8 million per year, $12 million per year, or whatever that number is. And if Pat's in front of him or Troy's in front of him or we're able to re-sign one of those guys, it's Marvin's cost is just low enough that it's not going to make you say like, oh, we're really overspending in that room.
Yeah.
I also am curious, like Gabe Davis got the contract. I guess he had been more productive before that contract than Marvin, but he also had like the big playoff burst that got him paid, similar to like Marvin gets to say, I just put up like 90 yards in a playoff game for you.
Yep.
And every time, it's not the first time I've made big plays in big games for you. Like this is opportunities. So I'm curious how that one plays out.
Hit a break.
Take a quick break. Yep, let's take a quick break. Shout out to our friends over at Taco Bell. Taco Bell is awesome. Lexi's out of town. She's up in Nashville for CU's women's tournament game, which means I've been home alone for a couple of days. I'm not going to say what I ate yesterday. I should have just gone to Taco Bell twice. Instead, it was weird. This weekend, though, a lot of Taco Bell, a lot of basketball, home alone. It's Taco Bell season. And the best part is they have the Luxe value menu. So you can get a bunch of food for $3 or less. Especially with the prices going up, it's nice to have those deals out there. They've got all the classics. They've also got a bunch of new options. So you can try the new Chipotle Ranch Chicken Stacker, the Mini Taco Salad, Beefy Potato Loaded Griller, the Chips and Nacho Supreme Dip. Finish your order off with an order of the Salted Caramel Churros to complete your meal. $3 or less, 10 items on the Luxe value menu. The deal is unmatched. Nobody delivers everyday value and support your hometown teams like Taco Bell. Live Moss at Taco Bell. Also, want to give a shout out to our friends over at Bet365. Man, the early payouts. It's a crazy deal. In the first round of the NCAA tournament, if the team that you bet on to win the game goes up by 10 points, they pay it out immediately. Ridiculous. And so, like yesterday, Siena, a 16 seed against number 1 seed Duke. Siena goes up by 10. It counts as winning that bet. Crazy returns. And there were a bunch of those underdogs who weren't able to pull it off in the end, but were able to get up by 10. I think in every game, there was a team that went up by 10 and not always a team that won, which means that like you bet on Duke to win, your bet hits. You bet on Siena to win, your bet hits. There were a bunch of those where another team went up by 10, the other team comes back and win. It's awesome. Never a better time to sign up. You can prep for the playoffs. Bet365. That's where winning is everything. Download the app. Use code DNVR365 at sign up today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in Colorado. $10 minimum deposit required. Bonus bet wager excluded from returns. New customers only. 21 plus only. Time limits, minimum odds, and terms and conditions apply. In-app only. Void where prohibited. Back into the DNVR Broncos podcast, in the Xfinity studio, as we can see on that nice sign behind us. And we also need to give a shout out to our Xfinity Xfactor.
Jaylen Waddle.
Jaylen Waddle. And so just to wrap up Jaylen Waddle week.
Yes.
Do you have, what's your final thought about our Xfinity Xfactor Jaylen Waddle?
My final thought is that the Denver Broncos brass identified Jaylen Waddle as the linchpin for their offense.
Yep.
The perfect combination of deep threat, man beater, and zone guru. The perfect mix of over the top and over the middle.
Yep.
To enhance every single player on the skill positions on offense, meaning Courtland, Evan Ingram, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins. And that really, really excites me.
Yeah.
Maybe more than anything else.
Yeah. I think in going back and watching, I was just so surprised how good he was close to the line of scrimmage. Because you knew, like, yeah, he's quick. He gets open. He's productive there. Especially, like, using that speed, it all works for him. But what I didn't realize was how smart he was and how crafty he was. Like, it's more than just the speed, and I think that's what excites me the most. That's why I think that ceiling is maybe higher than I gave it credit for. Again, like if he has 1,000 yards this year, then I'd probably say that's a decent outcome. But I do think that 1,300 number is attainable. It could be there. Yeah. But those just come down to the big plays, though. That's how he got it the first time, was just big plays. And if those big plays are there we go.
You know what I need?
What?
A video of Bo and Jaylen throwing.
Ooh.
Like, just like in a park in Castle Pines or something.
Yeah. It's coming. It's coming. I'm not sure if Jaylen's super online with those sorts of things, but he might be.
Someone just like Bo has a YouTube channel.
Right.
Let's get that up there.
Right. I forgot he has a YouTube channel. Go. Yeah.
That'll feed families.
Let's get this draft in. We're going to say PPR just because with a quick glance, the PPR seems to balance out receivers and running backs pretty well.
Go half PPR if you want.
I think because even with PPR leans a little bit running back-ish. Yeah, I think PPR is our number.
Are we actually going to remember to revisit this after the season to see who won?
I could put in the calendar. I just had Wizard White.
Yes, the legend.
Buffs running back, very good.
Punter, kicker.
Everything. And then
sometimes quarterback.
And then Supreme Court Justice.
Yep.
A long time ago.
Led the NFL in rushing.
Right. Led the NFL in rushing. 1940s?
I would say 30s.
30s? Yeah. Point is, I got a notification on my calendar like a few weeks ago that was like Wizard White's birthday, because back during when I was covering the Buffs, it was like, Happy birthday to Wizard. Have it in the calendar. So because of that, I think I can actually set the calendar reminder for this time next year, and we can see what happens.
Yeah.
Yep. Just going to save the graphic with it. So the way the draft works is it's just which Broncos are going to have the most fantasy points this year. No quarterbacks. It is PPR. No positions or anything. It's just whoever gets the highest number wins.
How many players are we drafting?
5?
5 each.
Does that work, Dion? Yeah. I don't have a graphic for that. Okay.
Cool.
There we go. We'll just start out with, do you want first or second?
Well, it's going to be a snake, right? So second gets second and third.
Yep.
And then it just back-to-back picks the rest of the
right.
time.
I don't care either way.
I'll go second.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'll take Waddle. I'll take Waddle.
I love it.
I was really tempted. Well, I won't. I'm not giving anything away.
All right, you've got Waddle. I am going to take Courtland Sutton.
That's a good pick.
And you know what? The Broncos are gambling. I'm gambling too.
Shoot.
J.K. Dobbins.
I was tempted to take him number 1. I do think that if he's healthy, he is number 1. Like there isn't really like a debate about it.
Yeah.
Like he
Except
will
for the
be
fact
the
that
best.
RJ, even when he was healthy, was kind of hawking touchdowns.
That's a good point. I'll take RJ.
Damn it.
You convinced me. And then I think this is where it really gets hard. I think there's a pretty clear top 4 probably.
Okay.
But after those 4, because first of all, like you could go receiver, but you could go 3 different directions. You could go Evan Ingram bounce back. And I think that's tempting. But I just don't know. Give me Troy.
It's your guy.
Yep. I gotta stay consistent.
And someone tweeted at us the other day and was like, does this mean the end for Troy Franklin or something along those lines? I'm like, no, it means that Troy Franklin gets an easier matchup on every play.
Yep. Probably a few less snaps, but
yeah,
it's gonna look prettier.
I'm gonna take Evan Ingram.
Okay. I think that's a good pick.
Did you pick 2 in a row?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I thought I tipped my pick.
No.
Early. I'm going to take Evan Ingram and believe in the idea that Jaylen Waddle forcing the linebackers to backpedal is going to open up a lot of space for Evan Ingram in the middle of the field. Right. And maybe even Jaylen Waddle forcing the defense to kind of shade away will even open up the seam for Evan Ingram, which I don't even know if we attempted that.
Funny you should ask, because the answer is no, actually. We did not ever attempt it.
That's kind of sickening.
Sickening is underselling just how gross it is. Maybe I should send these to... so this is every tight end who had more receiving yards than snaps played.
Okay.
And so we're going to have to explain this to the people. So there's like 10 of them, essentially your 10 best receiving tight ends. Where they get targeted, it's kind of everywhere. Here's this right seam for Evan Ingram where there's literally nothing for a guy who lines up 60% of the time on the right side. Dion, if I send you these, can you pull them up? Because that was terrible for audio and video.
It was bad, but it is a very interesting visual. While you're working on that, I'll prepare to make my next pick, and maybe I'll do it slowly to help you even more.
No, please. Slower is better.
I mean, you have to think about Lucas Kroll here.
Well, we're getting deep.
You got to think about Michael Bandy here.
Yeah.
you got to think about little Jordan Humphrey here.
Right? How could you not be thinking about those guys?
I mean, you just have to think about them.
I almost thought when we did this, we could include Dion. Because then by the time you get down to like 15, then you're making weird decisions.
Like Deion Smith.
Right. Like, what are they re-signing Benny?
Right.
No, because you go through because they have like the 4 tight ends, they've got like the 6 receivers, and they've got like, the 4 really running backs. So you could almost do it, but it just didn't quite. They don't quite have enough guys to make it worth doing and not just being stupid.
Well, I've thought about all those guys that I just mentioned.
Good.
And I've decided to go with Pat Bryant.
Yep. I think that's the right move. You could have taken him instead of Troy, you know?
Yes.
Like there's a chance that he's that guy.
You can tell that Sean loves him.
Oh, yeah. Right. I mean, it's kind of juiced up Devon Bailey in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I'll take Marvin. I think he's the last one on the board who makes sense. And then this. So you go through and say like receiver next up would be Michael Bandy or Lil Jordan. Probably Lil Jordan over Bandy.
Lil Jordan. 5 is a lot.
You go through the tight ends and say Troutman or Adkins. If you have a strong feel, or Kroll. They're Kroll.
Mm-hmm.
Or you go running back and say Jaleel Bidet. Where do you go? So I'm tempted to say Bidet because there's a chance that they still say he's our best pass protector, and so he still gets that same role. But even in that world where he is still on the field, is he giving you enough that you don't just take Troutman, who is kind of a guarantee? I think the answer is Troutman. I think I'd go Troutman.
I can't believe that you did that. I really thought you were going to bait yourself into taking Bidet.
No.
Just because I love him, I'm going to take Jaleel.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'll take Bidet. I did think about Prentice.
This is going to be interesting. I'll put the note in that this is PPR. So you wind up with Sutton, Dobbins, Ingram, Pat Bryant, Bidet.
Wow.
I've got
It's not sexy on paper.
No, I've got Waddle, Harvey, Franklin, Mims, Troutman.
That is sexy on paper.
I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to because you have the flashy, fun guys.
Right. Yeah. There was a world in which, like, if Troy Franklin takes over as wide receiver 3, awesome. Mims does it, awesome.
It's really funny the way that this worked out because as I was going through, like, when you said you want first or second, like, the whole draft flashed before my eyes. And I was like, okay, if I'm going first, I'm taking Waddle. And then we're going down the whole Waddle road, which is what you did.
Right.
And I was like, if I go second, I'm going to take Courtland. That's a sensible, smart pick. And then I'll probably end up with JK. And like, it all happened really fast. And it happened exactly the way I thought about it.
I know. And I was kind of thinking I wanted second because I wanted Dobbins. I'm in on the gamble. Like you eventually were.
Gambling man.
I think Dobbins winds up being the leader in all of this.
Shout out to Bet365 and Sienna for the early payout yesterday.
Shout out. Shout out. We'll wrap things up in a second, but should give a shout out to all the things that we do on the website, Die Hard stuff, film rooms, breakdowns, all that. So become a Die Hard, and also the events. We've got some takeovers coming up, pregame party before Rockies opening day. It's like $30. You get a free drink ticket, a bunch of free food.
Nice.
It's a good deal.
I do want to just say, if you're thinking about like where should I go in Denver to watch March Madness this week, like I've been wanting to get to the DNVR Bar. Now's a really good time to come support the bar.
It is.
The construction on Colfax has been impacting us for a while. Now it's literally on our doorstep.
Yep.
And I mean that in the most literal sense.
Right.
There's probably a guy with a jackhammer on our doorstep as we speak.
Right.
And it sucks. It makes it harder to at least see
people
our
don't
bar.
know
It's hard to walk to it. It's not that hard to come here. Just don't use Colfax. Use the back streets, and then you can park in the back alleyway. So I'd love if you guys come support. It just looks harder to get here than it is, and so people aren't coming right now. But we would love if you guys would come by this weekend and watch the March Madness.
Yep, it's the best place to watch. Do you have those, Dion? Okay, cool. Let's take a look. So you'll notice on the left, So these are on the left. That's every receiver who had more
receiver or tight end.
Every tight end who had more targets than
snaps.
No, more receiving yards than snaps. That's what it was. Sorry,
Okay.
I put these together a month ago, and just lucky you brought them up. So it narrows it down to like it's Trey McBride, it's all the receiving tight ends in the NFL essentially. There's a couple that kind of like Alberto made the cut because he played one game and had like 36 yards on 30 snaps or whatever.
Nice.
But for the most part, it's just all the big names in terms of receiving tight ends. That's where on the field they were targeted last season. Evan Ingram, who had also more receiving yards than snaps, of course, because he's a receiving tight end.
And he doesn't get a lot of snaps.
Right. 47th in snaps. He is on the right.
My goodness.
So you'll notice that those other guys, they throw him the ball down the field.
I was just going to say, not only did we not use the seam, we didn't use the back half of the field whatsoever.
No. Again, these are targets, not even just catches. So Evan Ingram, a tight end who aligns on the right side of the field 60% of the time. You would think that right seam, well, you would think there'd be a lot of targets. You would certainly think like at least once it would have happened.
A game.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is shocking.
No, it's pretty gross. I would have aligned those screenshots a little better had I known we were doing it on the show. A shout out to our friends over at True Media who track all of this.
He's got more catches in the left backfield than in the right seam.
Yeah. No, it's there are a lot of reasons why the whole Evan Ingram thing is just like shocking. Like
that right there is the entire reason why the Evan Ingram thing didn't work.
It's crazy. But even that, I would say like less crazy than the fact that there's an 82-18 split pass to run when Evan Ingram is on the field.
Yep.
Like that is the biggest tell in the entire NFL. Like it's crazy. And so you would think that at the very least, when you did run the ball with Evan on the field, that, defense wouldn't expect it. They'd be playing the pass. It would work out. But instead, you are 30% less efficient running the ball with Evan on the field.
Yeah, that
despite
hurts.
the fact that there's a 1 in 6 chance that they're actually going to run it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's like,
right.
Sitting fastball adjusting to the changeup.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's wow. That's got to change.
It does need to change. I mean, that's step one of this offense.
Yeah.
It has to be. Because like Evan Ingram, he has a 100-catch season. I think he has a 1,000-yard season as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to get big plays out of him down the field, you can do it. You want to get volume underneath, you can do it. But you got to find a way to get that going, because all of a sudden, like we thought there was a chance he'd be the Broncos' leading receiver last year.
Yeah.
The talent has
Zach
not
certainly
changed.
did.
He certainly did. The talent has not changed at all. Like he's still that same guy who can do those same things. You just need to find a way. Because if you could almost look at him as an addition this year, because you got almost nothing out of him.
I'm trying to think of like you could have convinced me that was a running back.
Right. Or, oh, wow. Who would that be? I mean, old man
like
Travis Kelce, maybe. But even then, probably not.
Like those are the same hot zones as like Tyler Bidet.
Right. Oh, totally.
Ugh.
Totally. Or, oh, man.
Let's finish on a more encouraging note.
Kelvin Benjamin. Just like, even
Like,
he probably
he's
had
gonna
more
be
down the
down the
sidelines.
field, yeah.
The sidelines, you got more out of him. Yeah, more positive note. I'm going to wrap up Jaylen Waddle week.
Okay.
Yeah, Jaylen Waddle. We've talked it through. It's the underneath stuff that gets me the most excited, because that post, the corner combo just means that there's that gap that's always going to be there. Like you have to sit over the top, and that means if he wants to break it off inside, break it off outside, he's going to be open. Like unless you allocate multiple defenders to that part of the field, he can get open down there. But the fact that he can get open underneath as well, the out routes, the drags, the slants, the out routes in particular. I think that might be the thing that stands out. 30% of his targets on out routes last year, most of anything. Almost 30% on those posts. Then you get to like 10% from the go, whatever it is, less than that from the slant. But those are the two things that you really build off of. And so that speed out and even the deeper outs, when you get the inside release, set him up, break back out, that to me is what he is the very best at in terms of his game. And I think those are easy completions. Like that's the stuff that keeps an offense on schedule, which is not something the Broncos have been good at.
Absolutely. There's so much to this. And I also think the Broncos just like invested in forcing defenses to play them differently.
Yep.
And that's such an interesting investment.
Right.
Because what was Bo's splits versus man and zone last year?
Better versus man. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I can pull them up.
Yeah. And you just forced everyone to play zone against you.
Right.
It's not going to, that's a little bit hyperbolic, but the thing is you're asking to see more zone by putting Jaylen Waddle on the field. And hopefully early in the season, teams are going to say, well, let's test out this man thing. And Bo can, get an MVP campaign rolling.
Right.
But eventually you're going to see more zone, and that has its pros and cons in different areas of the field that are going to be successful and players who are going to exploit it more. And your run game should be a little bit better. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing.
It is interesting. I split this in a weird way. Struggled against cover 2-man, right around his average at cover 0, cover 1, tick below, cover 2, tick below, cover 3, tick below, but really did well against cover 4. Interesting. Which again is very man-like in a lot of ways, the way NFL runs it, because corner takes the vertical. You have anything underneath goes to that flat guy who's typically playing the outbreaking route, but passes it off to the safety deep. So it almost plays like it's a cover 2-man in some ways.
Imagine how good he's going to be against cover 4 when he can throw the post to Jaylen Waddle.
Right. I mean, it's really perfect.
Same thing with cover 2.
Right. Yeah, the split's probably not as wide as I would have expected. But teams just don't play man. Thing is with cover 3, that's where you have the bulk of your dropbacks, more than a third. With the pass rating a tick below what your season total is. When you're playing with Jaylen Waddle, that's basically man anyway. You're just playing that corner up the seam. Potentially, if you don't leave him alone, you have somebody dropping that flat who could take away the comeback or can help underneath, undercut potentially. Probably not even undercut the outright, but a lot of that when you have the speed to get downfield and you're playing against that corner regardless, it basically is man, whether it's cover 3 or cover 4 or cover 1 or whatever it may be.
Yeah. This is so good for Courtland.
It is so good for Courtland.
I mean, it's kind of it's like everyone just got moved down a position in a good way. Instead of having to build up from the bottom, the Broncos just put something at the top that just made everyone else's job easier.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of when we talk about you fire a head coach, you just keep the same staff, but everyone has to get an extra. It's like you added a coach. Now everyone gets an easier job, has less to do.
Totally.
It's a beautiful thing.
Even going back to what Baldy said yesterday, it isn't defenses probably don't just send cover 1 or number 1 corner goes to Waddle because he's not the gap just isn't that big. And we think about how would the Broncos defend this Broncos offense, the answer isn't Pat follows Waddle. It's just you kind of just line up and play. And if anything, you might want Riley on Waddle more than you have Pat on Waddle. And if that's the Broncos with the best number 1 corner in the NFL, you're not drawing number 1s often, especially when you look at how defenses took Waddle away last year when he was all the Dolphins had in the passing game. I want to pull up the names of those other guys, but after Tyreek went down, they had literally nothing else, and they weren't taking away Waddle by saying we gotta put Christian Gonzalez on him when they play the Patriots twice. Or
I watched a game where Greg Dulcich was a big part of their offense.
There's a lot of those games. that Greg Dulcich, Darren Waller combo, sure.
It was not striking fear.
Right. So I just think they were taking him away with scheme, with just more players to cover more ground over there instead of having one person just try to stick to him. And because of that, it's rotated coverages if he gets hot. And if not, then if they don't do that, he is going to win. Same thing with Court, where it's like if you do that, then Court should be able to win on the other side. Yep. And if Court's too big for a corner in one game, you're playing a team with just small corners, well, he's going to win all those one-on-ones, and it's going to open things up on the other side. So I do think like just the pairing is perfect. Like it's like a classic like big guy, little guy. And then you go through the receiving leaders for the Dolphins last year. Jaylen Waddle, 910 yards. Devon Achane, 488. Number 3, Greg Dulcich.
Oh, my God.
335. Malik Washington, 317.
Not anything against Greg Dulcich, but...
No.
That's...
Couldn't make the team here.
Yeah, that's alarming for them.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just Malik Washington, number 4 receiver. Waddle, Achane, Dulcich. Number 2 wide receiver, Malik Washington, 317. Darren Waller, 283. Like Tyreek Hill he played 4 games and was the number 6. Julian Hill, Theo Weiss, Tanner Connor, Nick Westbrook-Akine played 15 games, picked up 89 receiving yards. Like 3 starts.
He had like 3 89-yard catches in a season one time.
Right. And so you just go through, and that's why down the stretch, and we talked about this, me and you did a couple of days ago, but that's why you only had 910 yards from Waddle, is because there are plays where he's triple teamed, because you could have one-on-ones everywhere else. You'll take your chances with Greg Dulcich one-on-one. You'll take your chances with Darren Waller one-on-one, Malik Washington, Julian Hill. Like this is going to look totally different. And I think the Broncos bought very, very low numbers-wise. And the potential for 12, 13, 1,400 yards is still right there.
Love it. We got any super chats? Yeah, we got 3. Let's go. Hit that like button as well before we head out. It's like, toss us a like for Friday. Happy Friday, everyone.
Pure Lapine, 62 stowers. That's all I know. 6'2", I think. Evan has done nothing, and this is his last year. If you can teach a 6'2" receiver out of Savannah State to be a hybrid tight end, stowers could be taught how to chip and run block.
Mike Shanahan and Gary Kubiak ain't walking through that door.
Yeah. That's.
I guess that was a little before them.
Right. There's a lot to like with stowers. Oh yeah. But I wonder. Let's see. When was the Shannon Sharp breakout? Because I don't know if he was. I would imagine late round pick wasn't immediately.
True.
Big name, but
also stowers. If you use him the same way you use Evan Ingram, he's gonna look like Evan Ingram but worse.
Right. He's just slower Evan Ingram. But again, who can jump and has some of that stuff that just doesn't really show up on tape. I'm not out on stowers. Just it seems like he's a lot like the guy who you're moving on from after this year. And for Shannon, first 2 years, not all that much. Third year, 640 receiving yards. That's 92. So yeah, he did have a couple of years that were awesome. Rod blocker. My buddy got me a DNVR sticker from the bar when he visited. I told RK about it on Twitter.
Heck yeah.
We'll be there next year for a game. When the schedule comes out, y'all gotta let me know what game to come to. Oh, we'll definitely do the which schedule game to come release to party. Yep, that's a big one. Home schedule's interesting. Might not be a whole bunch of like great teams, but I don't think there are any bad, like terrible, not interesting teams coming.
Last one.
Rod blocker. Also, Jaylen Waddle, for what we got him for and getting an early 4th with it, is genius by George Payton. He does his work in later rounds. F them picks for this Super Bowl. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yep. I do wonder, like one pick in the top 100 it's not great.
Ideal.
But you wonder if they trade up or trade down or whatever.
Because the pick they got back is 111.
Yep.
It's a lucky
111. Pick. That is true. That's a lot of 111.
Mm-hmm. This was good. This was a fun week. I'm glad it happened.
Tyson Anderson thoughts?
Tyson Anderson is a Denver Bronco. I'm glad this was a good week.
It's more of a fact. More of a fact than a...
I was just thinking about that. Broncos signed an outside free agent this week.
They did.
No one can say they haven't done that anymore.
It's true.
Find a new slant.
The narrative will die.
Find a new slant.
It is nice that we're out of the Broncos don't sign anybody hell.
Yeah. And everything that they've done leading up to the Jaylen Waddle trade looks so much better now.
Yeah.
Because there was a plan, which I tried to tell people there had to be.
Right. You weren't running into the season with $20 million in cap space.
Sure weren't. And there's more to come. That's That'll be next week's job.
Yep.
We'll talk about it. I have a feeling there's one more fun thing coming from the Broncos during this
I think so too.
offseason.
I think there's one more fun thing. That is going to do it for today. We'll be back next week. If you guys missed any shows this week, go back and watch because there was a lot of Jaylen Waddle talk that we got really deep into the weeds for. Go check those out and have some fun watching basketball. We'll see you guys on Monday.
God bless Bo Nix.
We all silly like the mayor.